Good morning, everyone. I'm going to teach today a little bit about how to actually create in your life. And we've been doing this, my wife and I, and it's been giving us amazing results. And so I'm not just talking from a theoretical, hermeneutical place. I'm talking from a place of actually experiencing what the Word says to do and then how to actually do it. But in order to do that, I'm going to teach you a little bit for the intellectual as well. And I want you to come with an attitude today of doubt and questioning. I don't want you just to believe me because I said it. I want you to believe it because it makes sense to you and it becomes your thought so that you can actually apply it in your life. So the purpose of this Bible study, this class, is so that we can actually help each other in what we're trying to do as the body of Christ, as Christians. One of the things I just read, studies done by Stanford, Harvard, and Yale show that the square root of less than 1% of people in agreement change the culture or the consciousness of mankind in actuality. So that means if there's 7 billion people in the United States, 7 billion people in the world, 8,336 coming together as one will elevate the consciousness or change the consciousness of people. That's the formula they came up with. In the United States, there's 310 million. So if 1,710 come together as one, that's just a church. They change the consciousness of the United States. So it's less than the square root of 1% coming together as one. Now, in the Tower of Babel, we know this is true. We know that nothing was impossible to them because they came together as one. So that's just a little note. So if you're trying to do a thing on your own, it's not as powerful as coming together as one. There's a lot of studies on it and how Greg Braden does I don't know if you've ever heard of Greg Braden. You might want to look him up and Google him. But what my purpose and intent here is to start you on the path, but I want you to really get into studying this on your own because this is how it works, and this is the truth of it. How to create the 5 R's. Are there any questions from last week or the week before that or anything? You know, there's things going on in our life. If we have any questions during this, please stop me. Don't think it's a bad question. Don't think it's a dumb question. The intent here is to actually get you something, not just teach over somebody's head. It's actually to get something to you so that we can actually apply what we're being taught, which is wisdom. Knowledge is easy. Wisdom is the tough part, the application. So the chemistry of creating, just for all you intellectuals, we know a little bit about it. We think a thought. And now, just so you know, I'm going to have this online, this PowerPoint online for everyone on the Covenant Life website, just so you guys can have it. So if we're going too fast or you want to go back and refer to something, because it's hard to take so many notes. It's going to be in 2 parts because we have to finish up a little early tonight, and I do want to get you all this information. We think a thought. I'm sorry.
What we'll do is we'll send out an email.
Okay.
My email, but it will be from you.
Okay. A picture is created in the mind. An emotion is attached to that picture based on your experiences. You past experience, you know when this thing happened in that picture, you know that this was the result, therefore that's going to be the result again. Basically, because of that emotion that we create from that picture in our mind, we then go ahead and create that same type of event again. Did it bring us a happy thing, or did it bring us a sad thing? Did it bring us fear, or did it bring us abundance? And then what we do is based on whatever that picture was, we create that emotion. And the thing is, I'm saying, when we know to create, let's create on purpose, not be created on. If we advocate our position of creating, we get created on. We become part of somebody else's plan instead of being the creator and part of our own plan, being the one that implements what we want because we have desire of the Father in our heart. The hypothalamus, part of the brain, releases neuropeptides, amino acids, based on that emotion. So whatever emotion you attach to that event, it's released. And these things are key-locked into every cell of your body, and then you vibrate at a certain frequency. This is just the chemistry. This is how it's done. This is what science would say. That's what's happening. These neuropeptides key lock in your cell and cause you to vibrate at a certain frequency. You then line up with like frequencies, things and events that edify that emotion. Remember, God created us with power, dominion, and authority over the earth. That's where he came from. We were to steward over this planet. If we don't like where the planet is, it's our fault because we're the stewards over that planet. And we're sentient. We know that we have the ability to responsibility for this planet. So if we know that, we're held to a higher account. Or we could just stay plugged into the matrix and just believe stuff happens to us. Poor me, stuff's happening to me. Or we can become the one that's happening to stuff. So that's where we want to be. So you line up with like frequencies. God knew we were in charge. We know we're in charge. So if we have an emotion of an apprehension or a fear, we must want more things that edify that place because we're in charge. So here's some more apprehension. Here's some more things that'll cause you fear. Here you go. Or if you have a place of love, peace, and joy, here's some more things that give you love. Here's some more things that give you peace, and here's some more things that give you joy. So it's our choice what emotion we test. That's why it tells us to capture each thought. Now, I know it's impossible to capture each thought, but it is possible when you're in a bad place and you feel that heaviness and that stress and that fear, you go, wait, no, that's not right. Let's put a new meaning around that. We had an example of that last night. Can I share it? Okay. Last night, my wife was pretty upset with some of the things that were happening in her family because her mother just had a heart attack, and now they're saying she's got no use for her legs, and her heart's strong now. And she was concerned that they weren't going to take care of her in the nursing home. And then her siblings weren't taking care of Mama and fighting for her in that nursing home. So she put this meaning around it that the ladies were tired. They were at the end of shift. They were going to give her a terrible bath and shower. They weren't going to wash her right because they were so exhausted, and 8 o'clock just wasn't right. So I said, well, let's talk about what could happen. What if we say it was an amazing event, the lady was super, it was a great bath, and Mama got a chance to preach to those ladies. So this morning, Michelle calls Mama, and she says, and this one lady was so awesome, and she was so great, and the point is, we changed the reality based on our confession, the fact that we believed that this was a better reality than that other one, because we're always right. We're always right. But isn't that a greater place to be? In physics, there's something called QAnons. Everything is created, we've talked about, everything is waves. Everything is waves. Potential waves is what they call them in quantum physics. You decide what potential is going to become reality. You decide. When they break down an atom to its smallest parts, the proton and the neutron end up just being energy waves. And the electron ends up being waves as well, waves and particles based on the observer looking at it. As soon as the observer, you, say that's the way it is, boom, it is. And I have a little double slot experiment that I was going to show you, which is the physics of exactly what they did to prove that man creates his reality, not realities created on man. And these are physicists. They don't believe in God. They believe in higher power, source energy. Now they have something they call the God consciousness that all things are created from. That's the word physics is using. God consciousness. They're going to get there. If they keep digging, they can't help but get there. So we have QAnon, or possibility waves, all these things, thousands of these for each incident in your life. Every time you make a choice or you have a choice to make, every time there's a bazillion possibilities. She can have a rotten time in that shower, or she can have an amazing time in that shower. You make the choice what the outcome, because for me, I like wars and battles. So if I like wars and battles, and I get my value from battles and wars, I must create a war and a battle. Yesterday, for example, I created a war and a battle with Andrew. And Andrew called me on it, and then I had to step back and say, you're right, I apologize, because I created a war, a battle. That's where I get my value. I'm a warrior, but I'm a lover first. So that's what we've got to remember is we create the reality we live in based on what gives us value. So I get my value now from Christ Jesus, what he did through Papa God. So there's thousands of opportunities, probability waves, your belief of that will occur, and the intensity of that belief causes the formation of things in science they call hadrons, electrons, protons. What you're doing is pulling something that was not into something that is now, just based on your belief of it. I believe that it's so. All of a sudden, it's starting to manifest. It's starting to manifest. That's why you be careful who you surround yourself with at that point. What words are going into you? Well, the economy just is messed up, so no way you're going to make it. Or, no, he doesn't believe in I'm in the kingdom economy, and I know that this is going to happen. And then bring people alongside of you that will edify that thought pattern. You're acting as if it were so. They call it in science, in physics, collapses the quiff. Goes from the unseen to the seen. It is so. You celebrate before it even happened in the scene, because you know it's done. Celebrate. Because when you're that excited, in joy and peace and love, boom, then you speak it. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Right? So you know that you know. When you speak it, when you celebrate, well, I just don't want to be wrong. Well, I want to be realistic. I'm done with realism. I'm done with common sense. It's time for us to create the reality Papa has decided that we're supposed to create because we're the stewards over this planet. We've abdicated our position and allowed the world to be in charge of that kind of thing because we're too holy for that. And we're forgetting that the whole world was made good. And we're supposed to take back what's rightfully his, and it's rightfully ours. Make sense? Any questions so far? I'm going to go kind of slow because I don't want to. Go ahead.
One thing that I fight with is other people's free will. So in your example of the shower, isn't it the nurses and Michelle's mom's free will that determined that?
Absolutely, it was absolutely her mom's determination. But say she is coming there. Here's Jesus. He comes into a room from a place of, I know who I am and this is what I'm going to do. Okay? So he knew who he was. Mom right now is in a place of whichever way the wind blows. Because she's going through some stuff right now. So what we do is edify the positive to give the reinforcement to, so it must be. Because wouldn't she much rather have a good event than a negative event? So all she did, she didn't just create it, she edified the mom's want in being that way, in that case. Now, there could be somebody just as powerful as you, just knowing who they are, saying, no, it's going to be that way. This is going to be a neutralizing of those waves. Nothing's going to happen, not positive or negative. There's always free will. Most people, 95% on this planet, advocate that position. They just go through life as if stuff happens to them. And because of that position, they're right. Stuff does happen to them. But if you stand knowing who you are and you make a decree that this is how it's going to be, then it is going to be that way. So, does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I understand what you're saying. Don't think it through too much that you're saying, well, they have free will and I don't want to infringe on their free will. As long as your heart is right and it's coming from the place of what Papa would desire, it's got so much power. If it lines up with the Word, it's got so much power. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's where we use our powers. The world has power too. Okay, how do I say that? They have the same power to create stuff just like we do. But we have the power to create from the aspect of the kingdom. We have the power to create because we understand who Papa God is, we understand who Jesus is, and we're not doing it just for us. We're doing it for the greater good so that all mankind can benefit. Mankind is like a giant organism, and people are like the cells of that giant organism. And it's time for us to raise the level of consciousness of that organism because we know who we are and whose we are, and that we create on purpose as one. Does that make sense? Questions? Brings the unseen to the seen, or what was not to reality, or what you or expected to pass, what you expected to pass. And we're always right. I keep saying that. If you believe it's going to be a bad day, it is. So don't give away a whole day. If a moment happened that didn't line up with what you wanted, okay, Pull over, start the day over. But don't give away a whole day just for one incident, one moment in time, one dot. Because then we resonate at low frequency all day. What a day! A machine gun riddling of bad things happened to me. I'm learning as we go along. That's the worst thing about teaching, and it's the best thing about teaching. You get to learn so much about yourself. The emotion you create from will attract and create results. Every emotion creates a frequency. So every different emotion that you choose vibrates at a different frequency on your body, and you attract what exists at that frequency, is the theory. You can now create from 3 places or states of now. There's 3 places you can create from. Broad stroke. Peace, joy, and love, the kingdom environment. Peace is what you always bring when you come in. Joy means calm delight. Don't mean some wacko laughing incessantly. It's calm delight is the translation for joy. And love is the weapon. It conquers all. Love is all about them. It's agape, total, unconditional love. No judgment involved. Because by the measure you're judged, so will you be judged. Resonant frequencies. I'm in a judgment state. Get ready for judgment coming your way. Well, who caused that? You did. Because you judged others. Gotta love them. Right where they're at. Jesus loved people right where they're at. We have to love people right where they're at. We don't love the sin. But remember, you can't see what's in someone else unless it's in you. Or it was in you at some time. I had to deal with that same thing. I had to go through that as well. And you may be the protector of that thing. You may be the one that protects that integrity because, you see somebody that lied and it gets you so angry because you're the protector of integrity. You're the protector of truth. And it goes against your very nature. But love will conquer that. Love. Agape. You can create from a place where most of the world is. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. I have no say. I'm just a pawn in the big scheme of things. Get what the world gives. You got yin and yang, up and down. I don't like when they teach yin and yang. Well, they're good and they're bad. How about glory to glory to glory? I like that. That's a kingdom mindset. Well, there's good and there's bad. No, I say, how about there's different levels of good? Because all things work for the glory of God. I'm just quoting a word, that's all. Or from fear. Keep creating things that bring fear in your life. Answers you need do not exist here. The answers that you're looking for don't exist in the place of fear and lack. They exist in the place of peace, love, and joy. So if you want that answer, you got to get in peace, love, and joy. Now, I know, and I've done it before, I'm going to work through a thing, and I'm going to work through a thing, and I'm going to work through a thing, and then finally, I get the answer. But it wasn't for working through the thing. It was when I finally released it because I was exhausted of working through it, carrying a load that I shouldn't be carrying. Oh, and then bing! And so then my mind said, well, it's that hard forcing work that caused that answer to come. But it wasn't that hard forcing work. It's when I let it go. And I became in peace and I got quiet that I actually heard the answer. So, questions on just this portion? Yes. Well, you cannot come against someone's free will if they're decided that's the way they're going to be. Okay, that's it. That's the way it is. So if someone says, that's the way I'm going, but you can catch them when they wreck. See, and you got to catch them with no judgment. See, the prodigal son went out and did what he had to do. But Papa was so awesome when he came back. He shod his feet with good shoes, put rings on him, put the royal robe around him, didn't judge him. That's what we have to do. Love unconditionally. Knowing they can do better. Seeing them in a better place. Keep speaking that into them. I know you've got a great work in you. I know you're going to help so many people. But what we do is see them where they're at, not where they should be. Jesus always saw people where they were going to be. His name was Simon, which is reed man. Bends this way and that way. But Jesus called him Peter, which means Petros, which means rock. Boom. I will not change. I will not be swayed. So he called him what he was going to be. Every time Simon would say something wacky, he'd call him Simon. Every time Simon would stand on the word, he'd call him Peter. So just notice that in your word, that we are two people inside us fighting. Which source are we going to draw from, the Spirit of man or the Spirit of God? It's all about the source you draw from. A thought firmly fixed in the mind and held continually will line up with and bring and create the things represented by that thought, to reinforce what the holder of that thought apparently wants. Then we speak it into this realm of the seen world. Greatest energy wins. Well, I thought about it for a while, and I was in that place of peace, joy, and love for 5 minutes, but then all day for 23 hours and 55 minutes, I was in a place of hurt, lack, and not enough. Guess what won? Hurt, lack, and not enough. It's which energy are you going to vibrate in? Which one wins? Does that make sense? It's all about waves. I mean, if we want to go physics, there's waves, and then when you keep edifying, it gets bigger and stronger and bigger and stronger. And then if it's a negative and it's big and strong, because you're in such fear, that's going to win. Does that make sense? I might go through it. Tesla taught all things emit frequency and have harmonic frequencies that naturally exist at. He's the inventor of free energy, the HARP system, AC generator, and radio. Not Marconi. The patent belongs to Tesla, not Marconi. HARP system is what changes weather patterns. It's out in Alaska right now. AC generator, Edison hated him because he invented the alternating current generator, and Edison invented DC. So he used to take elephants and electrocute them in Times Square just to prove how dangerous AC was. Edison would. Hated this man. Tesla was so amazing because he saw the unseen all the time. Matter of fact, it was hard for him to communicate with people because he was so many times in the unseen realm that he couldn't really communicate very well in the seen realm. He would build things from blueprints he would see that didn't exist. And he would only build them once, and they worked. Edison would just keep trying and trying and trying and trying. He did it the world's way. Tesla did it God's way. He would see and make. But I don't want to go through him. Proverbs 23:7. For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. We just want to edify this for all of us so that we know that it's truth. Hebrews 11:3. Through faith, we understand that the worlds were framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. Any questions on that part? 3 John 1:2. This is just for all you, the religious people you're going to deal with out there, so you can help them with the truth. And they won't stay disempowered. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper, even as thy soul prospereth. So you're not going to prosper just because you want to. You're going to prosper because you're going to grow. See, the prosperity is a reflection or a fruit of your inner growth. If you don't like the fruit, time to grow. Time to grow. 2 Corinthians 4:13. We, having the same spirit of faith, according to as is written, I believed and therefore I have spoken, we also believe and therefore speak. So we say what we believe. So listen to your words, as we say, and see what's coming out. Is it lack? Is it poor me? Is it woe? Get ready for more lack, poor me, and woe. I know it ain't fair. It's the way it is. Romans 10:6-9. I'll skip that, but I do want you to read that on your own. That's good. It talks about the heart a lot. It's a long one, so. Hebrews 1:4. Being made so much better than the angels, as he hath by inheritance obtained more excellent name than they. See, there's a teaching in Psalms that teaches that we were made a little lower than the angels. And everyone's latched onto that. But we forgot when Jesus came, he put us back and restored us back to our real position, which is being made so much better than the angels. That's why they serve us. They're our hands and feet in the spiritual realm. Too many times we don't utilize our tools that are available in the spiritual realm, which are the angels. Use them. Know that they're going to move when you say. We got millions and legions of angels standing around at parade rest waiting for somebody to do something with them. We're not saying nothing. It's Psalms 8:5 that talks about we were made a little bit lower than the angels. And Hebrews 2:9 talks about when Jesus, what he did, restored our greatness. And then we go to this one. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. This was said before the discovery of the atom, the neutron, the proton, energy waves, or quantum physics. And this is where I would play the double slit experiment. Do we have time for that? What time is it? We got time. I'm going to play it. 5 minutes. Have you guys seen the double slit experiment? So if you haven't seen it, this will, how do I get out of this? Oh, I know. Sorry. Okay. And there we go. Oh, I just did that. There we go. Okay, here he is. Turk.
Granddaddy of all quantum weirdness, the infamous double slit experiment. To understand this experiment,
Where's full?
we first need to see how particles, or little balls of matter, act. If we randomly shake a small object, say a marble, at the screen, we see a pattern on the back wall where they went through the slit and hit. Now, if we add a second slit, we would expect to see a second band duplicated to the right. Now, let's look at waves. The waves hit the slit and radiate out, striking the back wall with the most intensity directly in line with the slit. The line of brightness on the back screen shows that intensity. This is similar to the line the marbles make. But when we add the second slit, something different happens. If the top of one wave meets the bottom of another wave, they cancel each other out. So now there is an interference pattern on the back wall. Places where the two tops meet are the highest intensity, the bright lines, and where they cancel, there is nothing. So, when we throw things, that is, matter, through two slits, we get this. Two bands of hits. And with waves, we get an interference pattern of many bands. Good so far. Now, let's go quantum.
Any questions so far? It's okay to ask them. This is just, they shot some marbles through some slits, made some stuff in the back. This is real matter. And they put some stuff, the same slits in a pool of water, and it made those interference pattern. That's all. Now we're going to go and find out what's really happening on the atomic level about creating and what things are actually made out of. These are the real experiments that have been done thousands of times, and it keeps messing with scientists. Because God knows how stuff works. We know through the Word how it works. Science is just catching up.
An electron is a tiny, tiny bit of matter. Like a tiny marble. A fire screen through one slit. It behaves just like the marble. A single band. So, if we shoot these tiny bits through two slits, we should get, like the marbles, two bands. What? An interference pattern.
Acting like waves.
Electrons. Tiny bits of matter through. We get a pattern like waves, not like little marbles. How? How can pieces of matter create an interference pattern like a So, they decided to shoot the electrons through one at a time. There was no way they could interfere with each other. But after an hour of this, the same interference pattern is seen to emerge. The conclusion is inescapable. The single electron leaves as a particle, becomes a wave of potentials, goes through both slits, and interferes with itself to hit the wall like a bomb. But mathematically, it's even stranger. It goes through both slits.
Don't worry about this part.
It goes through another. And it goes through just one. And it goes through just another. All of these possibilities are in superposition with each other. But physicists were completely baffled by this.
This is important.
They decided to peek and see which slit actually goes through. They put a measuring device by one slit to see which one it went through and let it fly. But the quantum world is far more mysterious than they could have imagined. When they observed, the electron went back to behaving like a little marble. It produced a pattern of two bands, not an interference pattern of many. The very act of measuring or observing which slit it went through meant it only went through one, not both. The electron decided to act differently, as though it was aware it was being watched. And it was here that physicists stepped forever into the strange, never world of quantum events.
So the point is, how do I get out of this thing? Oh, that same little box thing. The point is, now it was acting as waves, and wave potentials would mess them up in the first place. And then when they put a measuring device or an observer on it, it acted like particles because the observer expected to see it in that place, so it was. You have all power, dominion, and authority based on your belief of what things should be and where they should be in your life. So science is confirming that now, that until the observer observed on it and looked on it, it wasn't. It was everywhere. It was possibility waves. It could have been anywhere. As soon as the observer observed, boom, it collapsed the quiff. It became a particle only. It acted like an electron should. They said the only time we can measure where an electron is when we actually look for it. But it's everywhere all at once. That's why they call it an electron cloud in new physics. They don't say it's an electron. They say it's an electron cloud. So, to get the edification from Hebrews 11:1, we go to now, faith is it now, God as I am, in whatever we believe now, in this moment in time. Faith, pistis, belief with action, faction as I call it, is, este, makes up the substance, essence or building blocks, hypostasis is the word, of things hoped for, elpizo, expected, the evidence, elehogos, proofed, of things, pragma, matter, amazing word, not seen, blepo, looked on by the natural eye. In the now, belief makes up the building blocks or essence of things expected and is proved by the manifestation of matter not previously seen by the naked eye. That's what the word says when you translate it from the Greek. In the now, belief makes up the building blocks or essence of things expected and is proved by the manifestation of matter not previously seen by the naked eye. We wouldn't have understood that until today with today's science and today's techniques. That's exactly what science is saying too. Because you believed it was so, it is. We have all power, dominion, and authority. So if we don't like what we have, that's okay. But change the thinking. Change the who you are. You're greater than the angels in God's eyes. Not less than. Questions before we're going to stop it here, and then next week we're going to talk about the 5 R's, the actual process of creating the things that you really want in your life. And the hardest part of that is meditation, because it's hard to be quiet. It's really hard to be quiet. Real quickly, they did a study at several of the heart universities I was reading my wife this morning, and just by meditating, It changed your DHEA levels and your IgA levels in your body, not just a little bit, 15 minutes a day for 1 month changed them 100 to 400% increase. DHEA is an indicator of overall body health. If you don't have high enough, your bones decay, your muscles decay, low sex drive, all this depression, all these things set in, all just from meditating, being quiet for 15 minutes. What I do is I sit on Papa's lap. I've talked about that before. But you won't be sick. It's a healer. Shows how capillaries open up when you go to meditation. And it shows the most amazing thing, that the heart is the most powerful organ in the human body, not the brain. And I'll get into some depth on that. It's 5,000 times more powerful in EMF emissions, electromagnetic field emissions, than the brain is. You change stuff based on your heart. There are 40,000 neurons in your heart. It's called the heart brain in chemistry now and in science. They call it the heart brain. So when the word says, as a man thinketh in heart, it didn't mean subconscious, it didn't mean nefesh, it meant your heart. We got to stop putting a metaphor on something because we don't understand it. He said exactly what he meant to say. We have to receive it as exactly what it says and stop trying to take. Abraham went to the top of the mountain and God changed him. Aaron stayed at the bottom of the mountain and he changed God. Put it in the calf, something they could handle. Be gutsy enough to go to the top of the mountain and be changed. That's all I got for now. Thanks. Oh yeah, God or dirt. This goes into a lot of depth. In the beginning, God or dirt, about evolution, the radioisotope testing, carbon-14 testing, and it talks about, he is got essentially a doctorate in geophysics. He did all the radio testing. He did all this stuff, and he knows how phony baloney it is. And he knows that the Earth is 6,000 to 7,000 years old. And he's a scientist. He's a geophysicist. He did this stuff. So this will help you so that you can communicate with the world. It isn't about you. You got that. But we've got to believe in our heart and speak with our mouth, and then we're saved.